Hi, this is Let's Play Salesforce, and I'm Keith Lyons. Tonight's Tableau CRM video is going to be all about spoilers for the Winter 22 release, which is right around the corner. But before we jump right in, I do want to call out the fact that I have a very warm, sweltering apartment right now, so there's going to be a lot of fans running in the background. So if that does affect audio, that's fine. I'm going to go on mute when I'm not talking, which isn't going to happen because this is my show. So let's get into the spoilers. So we're going to start in the settings like we always do. Now, the first thing that I noticed was enable ask data for Salesforce. And at first, I thought that this was just a rebranding of enable conversational exploration, which is a feature that we've had around for a while. And it turns out I was only half right. It is a rebranding, but it's not of that feature. The feature that it's actually a rebranding of is autonomous insights, which quite frankly, I couldn't get to work. Fortunately, Zooey has actually put together a blog on this. Now, this guy is so far ahead of the curve that, we're talking about a feature that I can't get to work today. And he wrote a blog about it about a year ago, which is kind of par for the course because, the one summer I decided that I was going to build a table in my backyard. And I sent him a picture of it. And he sent me a link to a blog post that he wrote about how he actually makes his own custom woodworking tools in traditional Japanese style. So par for the course, Zooey has left me in the dust yet again. But if you can get this thing to work, it actually looks really, really cool. So check out this blog post over on salesforceblogger.com for more information about that, because unfortunately, you're not going to get it from me today in this video. But we do have a couple of other features and settings that maybe I can wrap my head around a little bit better. So the first is we now have this checkbox for enable the auto installation of apps. And this is just going to install some nifty things. I know at a minimum, it's going to include the learning app, may or may not include adoption analytics, may or may not include adoption analytics. I'm not 100% sure on that. I haven't actually tried it. I just noticed that there was a new checkbox. And yes, we're ignoring the elephant in the room for just a moment here. And then the other one that we wanted to talk about was some of the recipe stuff down here. Skip past the other elephant that we see. And we already had disable recipe source caching data, but now recipes have the ability to create stage data as well as the ability to use direct data. So direct data is going to bypass sync and is going to pull fresh data if I'm understanding this correctly. So perhaps you could find deltas, perhaps you could use this to help to avoid data drift. But I imagine that this might slow things down. It may only be for preview, I'm not really sure. The other one is the ability of recipes to create staged data. So imagine that we're just going to take it to that perfect axolotl state, and not actually register it as a data set. Maybe you can run this node and it's going to take less time than a register, but it's only for data sets that are going to be used in other recipes. So, apparently this is going to be stored in an intermediary format, can't be used in dashboard level queries, but does seem like it's going to be able to improve performance. And this is something that I do definitely do, where I'll use multiple different data sets and in a kind of staged process, especially when it comes to enriching external data sources with Salesforce data and then maybe leveraging them in snapshots, etc. I might have several data sets before I actually build up to the final one. But it's definitely for more advanced use cases that I do this sort of stuff. So interested to see what people in the field are going to be doing with this. Next, we'll hop over to permission sets. We've got 2 subtractions and 1 addition. One, we added manage autonomous insight data privacy. And this is going to, again, reference the autonomous insights that have now been rebranded to Ask Salesforce, while the permission itself has not. And then the 2 permissions that we no longer have are manage adoption analytics templates and apps, and manage custom maps. I imagine that the adoption template permission migrated into the regular managed templated apps permission. Not positive, haven't actually checked. And I have no idea where the permission to manage custom maps has gone. But I still don't want end users being able to willy-nilly upload whatever map they'd like. I would prefer if admins could have a little bit of control over that. Now, again, the other elephant in the room that we were looking at was time zone support, and we are going to talk about that in a couple of minutes here, but not quite yet. So next thing that we wanted to talk about is over in Analytics Studio. Very simple, but very, very useful feature. So now we have the ability to hide an asset. So maybe the use cases that you're working on a dashboard and you're developing directly in prod, because while this is generally not best practice in analytics, it does tend to happen a lot more often than not because it's fueled by data. So sometimes you do have to work directly in prod, or you're not going to be able to get the you're not going to be able to get like a realistic picture of if your dashboard is actually working or not. So the ability to hide a dashboard that's still in development, or I don't know, maybe you'll come up with some other reasons why, but we can hide them now. So users that only have viewer permission will not be able to see a dashboard in a given folder, and we can always roll that back. So the next thing we're going to talk about is we are going to talk about those time zones. And I did a little bit of messing around with this. We've got the org supported time, and then we have the dashboard default time, which is going to be GMT or DST, and enable new date versions for dashboards and lenses. So a couple of different nested terms here. When we check this guy, all of this other stuff shows up here. Now, one thing I did notice that I'm assuming is a temporary thing because I can't quite access all the functions yet, is that if I go and create a new dashboard, for example, not that one, we're going to start from scratch. If I go and create a new dashboard, that now only data sets that I've actually turned on time zone stuff for are showing up. And I do think that this might be a temporary thing. I don't think that they're actually going to lock you out of all your data sets. Maybe they just need to run again after you turn it on. I'm not actually positive. But the reason that I think that it might be temporary is because if I look at my global filters, I do still have all of the data sets that are in this org available to me. So I'm guessing it might not be that broad, that broad sweeping. Now, another thing that I'll call out about this is that there is a lot of detailed information here in this guy about how to, the different considerations that you have. The syntax for your bindings is going to be different. Notice this is close date underscore year. This is year underscore close date. Why does this apply? I have no idea. Couldn't actually tell you. Date range. This one looks a whole lot simpler. This, I think this looks a lot cleaner on the right-hand side. So, I'm not really sure why they did this. Now, it's going to take a little while for me to unpack this. Part of this is because you might notice that almost 60% of the real estate on this page is completely wasted. Welcome to the new Salesforce help site. Click here to submit feedback. We're going to take that one offline, but I think this page needs to use its real estate a little bit better in order for it to be, fully usable, because it's very difficult for me to read these code snippets. But again, this is the new Salesforce help site. So I imagine that this is going to take a couple of iterations. Also, I did have to be logged in able to get to this page, and I couldn't get to it from my GSO org. I had to hop through from a different org to get to that. And then the next thing that I'm going to just detour briefly before we talk about time zone a little bit more is that I did notice that there were some new date functions that came out. This is the regular documentation page, which has also gotten a nice update, but this one I think came out a little bit better. I'm digging it. I am digging it. But I noticed that we had some additional functions. I'm not exactly finding them though. It is in these, yeah, it's here. It's in these time-based date functions. So I guess it's not a detour. I did find this stuff a little bit earlier, but how we handle them is going to be a little bit different. They're talking about post-projection filters. This is going to be a lot for me to unpack. But a lot of it has to do with a fundamental change. This is conjecture, but I think a lot of it has to do with fundamental changes based on time zone support. So you'll notice this thing that's telling me here about you need to do different stuff and things to make sure that your date fields are addressed correctly. And that's because we actually have, for the first time since the inception of the product, a fundamental new data primal. new data type. We now delineate between date only and date time. Meanwhile, Booleans are over here like, what, am I a string to you? The answer is yes. Booleans are still strings. But what's the point of having time zone if we don't actually have date times? Because we're never offsetting the full days. So, we really do need to have that delineation in order for time zones to make sense whatsoever. So we'll show you a little bit more of what I've been messing around with this. So we've got our it's about time, DTC time zone data set, which is just, 4-year-old DTC opties, but DTC time. If we group it by year, month, day, hour, we'll see that everything is showing an hour of 20. That's because I took a date time, which would be at midnight GMT, and I offset it to Eastern time, which gives me 20. Now, if this seems like a little bit much to you, there is a video in my Data Flow Basics Part 2 series about how to offset a single date field to a user's time zone. But that is on a per data set, per time zone, per field basis. And I don't really recommend it as a scalable solution. I have used it in one-off kind of situations. One was trying to get insights into do Pardot emails get a better response rate when they are sent at a particular time of day. And in order for that to make any sense, we did have to convert the send time over to EST/DST. And so that is a thing. But once I get the hang of this, odds are this is going to be my go-to. Always go with out of the box instead of some janky thing that I built on my channel, assuming that out of the box actually exists. Now, while we're here, I have one other feature that I really want to call out. The ability to sort nulls, or where am I going to put the nulls? You know how annoying it is to have a table, and when you sort it, all the nulls are showing up first, and we want to see the most or least of something, and it's like just not how it works. And we've got this nice little modal that pops up here so that we can always say, show me my nulls last, etc. Boom, it's lovely. And then one other really cool feature is we've got a new chart type. Do we have a new chart type? No. Where is it? Ed, where's my histogram? Apparently we don't have a new chart type. Sorry, guys. We're going to leave now. But that's okay. We're going to march right along. And, again, just last couple of thoughts on time zone. There's some information about connected data sources and how they behave differently. I also noted in the dashboard properties, I can't disable time zone on this dashboard. So I don't know if that's going to be like if it's going to be like on a per dashboard basis, if this is related to me not being able to see other data sets. But literally, I was trying this stuff out for the first time today. So about as much as I did at the time of recording, because I'm assuming that you didn't know anything about it before watching my video, and I'm telling you everything I know. So next up, we got something pretty cool here. We've got a really awesome update to components. This is the other elephant in the wall that I was not ready to show you from the settings setup. And, spoilers, I'm not going to be able to show you much now either, because I couldn't get it to work. But apparently now we have the ability to embed Lightning Web Components into TCRM dashboards. There are a million implications for what this can do. I'm assuming that we're going to be able to pass information back and forth between the dashboard and the Lightning Web Component. To what extent we can do this, I have no idea. All I know is I got a checkbox in setup. It makes this thing show up here, and that's as far as I've been able to take it. But hopefully we will find out in the future. But that's not the only nifty thing that we can do with components now. We can now embed components as our visual tooltips for charts. So in a previous release, we got the ability to add a visual tooltip to a number widget. So for example, if I drag this handy dandy number widget right here and I click on it, and we're just going to say, hey, this is my count of rows. I can click into it. I can go to tooltip. I can do custom, and I can create a visualization. And I can make this whatever I want, so we'll just do a quick bar chart of close date by year, week. Sure. And there we go. And then when I preview this guy, I can hover over it. There's that chart. We can still add, custom information. I've been using the heck out of this one for my clients. It works really well if you want an embedded dashboard on a homepage where you just have like a quick splash of like a few KPIs that provide really high level information. And then on hover, you can provide, greater information and a more expanded view without having a dashboard that's cumbersome that you have to spend forever drilling through. So it's a really great way to have your cake and eat it too, between dashboard simplicity and the complexity of the information that we're able to share with our users. So far, these have only been supported on number widgets. Then the other nifty thing that we've got here is components. So components are basically dashboards within dashboards. We have the ability to create a smaller dashboard, embed it into our dashboard. We can do things like set pages on it. We can control it with buttons. This one's been around for a couple of releases now, and it's very near and dear to my heart. If you want to know more information about it from its original release, check out a video that has a hot dog on the title card. Because yes, there was a time where components were called hot dogs. But now we have the ability to use a component as the visual tooltip on a chart. Now, the thing is, map-based visualizations are really, really beautiful. We can do all sorts of things with custom maps. I did a custom risk map with my own GeoJSON and everything. And it's hard to compete with something that's that beautiful. But what is the only thing that beats out over beautiful? That is adorable. And so I have built an adorable component. So here we have a picture of the adorable furry Dave stealing a walnut right off my slipper. So squirrel 0, Pete 1. Wait, other way around. Squirrels 1, Pete 0. So now one thing that I'm still a little confused about is I found that when I went and made modifications to the component, they didn't show up until I reloaded my dashboard. I also can't see that component. If I go down here and I drag another component onto the screen and I click here, I don't see my adorable component in that list. To get to that component, I now have to come back to here, go to the tooltip, and then I can go to the visualization settings. And then from here, I can edit the component. I think that this refreshed content might have actually been what I needed to do to see the updated version of it. But the other thing is, and I'm not going to lie, I'm feeling kind of dumb. I have no idea where in the application at all that all of my components are being stored. So like I tried going to all items, nothing. I thought maybe they're under the dashboards. No, I couldn't tell you. I don't know where they are being stored or how they're how to actually get to them other than through dashboards. So if you do know how and you can figure that out for me, please put a comment down there for all the other people who, like me, maybe scratching their head trying to figure it out. So the other thing, last, we're going to round off with just a couple of like cleanup aesthetic kind of changes. So for example, we have new copy paste functionality that was added. So we have a clipboard down here where I can copy this guy, and then maybe I want to paste it over here, and then I'm going to have another copy of this. But that's really great if I want to go from dashboard to dashboard, or like, for example, maybe I want to copy this and then I want to paste it. Actually, we'll shrink down a little, see if it works more the way I'm expecting. We can copy from over here, come over here and paste. And no, looks like in the previous release, it would paste over where you pasted it. So maybe that's a regression, but this, in my opinion, is really great for more like copying and pasting from dashboard to dashboard. I'm also not positive. Can we triple copy? I think we can. Yeah, looks like we can. We can copy multiple components, and that's actually super cool. But what if I just have like a quick one-off that I just want to duplicate something? Duplicate was gone. So now duplicate has made its triumphant return, and I can duplicate it. So we still have the other stuff that we used to. We have a little link to view query properties here. The advanced editor got a rebrand, and it's now just has the same logo as our SACL editor, which is pretty useful. I did also notice that there was a bug fix. No idea when it happened, but historically, if you add a global filter and you added a date field, or I guess in this case it's date time field, And then you went to global filters, manage them, and try to add that filter again. Unlike other data types, it would not be grayed out. And if you attempted to add that global filter a second time, it would totally let you, and it would promptly crash your dashboard. That bug has been fixed. And then the other little UI tweak that I noticed is that when we save, it's now going to tell us a little bit about the layouts that we have and try to encourage us to mobile, which reminds me, I totally forgot, should have said this in the beginning. Apparently, we now have the ability to enable mobile data offline or enable mobile offline beta, which is going to allow us to access data through TCRM mobile app when a device has no connectivity. So my guess is maybe it's going to be caching, some data set and dashboard states. I have not tried it out, so I don't know how far we're going to be able to take it, but I do know that it's probably more robust than the April Fool's prank that I did on Einstein Analytics Offline several years ago. But if you want a good laugh, feel free to check out that video as well. So that's all I've got for tonight. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, tell a friend, and as always, thanks for watching.